Welcome to Synchronicity. I had a whole thing recorded how this was going to be the Q&A episode. That's coming up after this episode, as you'll hear as I realize that at the end of this one. Is that confusing yet? Welcome to Synchronicity. Going to talk about some other shit. Here that is. Let's talk about something I'm doing before we get into everything else. If you want a free reading, astrology tarot reading, you are going to be able to do that. There's going to be a link. You're going to be able to do that. You'll have the opportunity to do that. There's a link in the episode notes on the website, on the page. It'll also be coming out on the email list. Basically, if you're cool with that reading being recorded and broadcast on the podcast, then sign up for this one. The other ones are private, so you can pay or one of these free drawings. But if you want to be on a podcast, in fact, this podcast, and you want a reading, this is the thing for you. Think that's it in terms of anything I have to mention. We're all done. Whitma happened. We're going to do a nice little Whitma recap. There's a lot going on there. And I smoked changa. I did DMT for the first time, guys. I know people were like, I was telling people the following night when Whitma was, I was like, yeah, I did DMT. I smoked changa for the first time. They're like, what? How have you not? What? How? It's like, yeah, everyone around me did it. I am drugs is why everyone thinks that. But holy shit, guys. I did rape right before it too. It's like the snuff tobacco. I'd never done that before. And what's weird is like leading up to Whitma this past week, I was getting like these weird, like, it's like twinges of pain, like kind of in my neck. And it wasn't really like bad. It wasn't uncomfortable. It was just kind of like, what the fuck is that? And I was like, oh, is that like a Sarno thing? Is just some like unconscious thing that's going on? And I couldn't quite place exactly what was happening. But then I did this rape on Thursday night and holy shit. Yeah, it felt exactly like that. It was just prolonged. It's like a crown chakra enema. That's how I describe rape. I'm probably saying it wrong. Rape. So yeah, DMT. Let me tell you actually about how I got to New York on Thursday. I tweeted about it. So if you saw it, you kind of know what I'm talking about. But if you didn't, holy shit. So I like to get places early typically, or at least enough wiggle room where if something happens, I can adapt. So I drove to the train station. I wasn't even supposed to go into the city on Thursday, but Anna hit me up and was like, yo, you got to come to this dinner. What the fuck, bro? And I was like, all right, I will take that. And if Alexis says it's cool that I go to New York unplanned, then we're good. And I was like, there's no way she's going to do that. She did. She's like, no problem. All right, great. So I get there early. I'm like, I'm going to be going right from the train, the Amtrak to a dinner. So I'm like dressed in like jeans and a sweater and a Patagonia. And like, I'm ready to go. It's a cold day. So I get to the train station and where I normally park is not only filled up, like people are legit parking. So when other people come back from the train, like they're not going to be able to do shit. Like they're stuck. I was like, wow. So I have to reverse through this, like, it's like an action movie, like reversing these huge, like, divots and puddles and water, like between these cars. And I'm not even driving my car. I'm driving Alexis's car. It's a Highlander. I drive a little Acura TSX. It's like totally big. And I don't use the backup cameras. I don't trust backup cameras. I learned to drive when you look behind you. So it's like a whole thing. Anyway, I get out of there. And I'm like, all right, fuck. I'm not going to catch this train. I only have like 25 minutes. So I'm like, all right, here's what I'll do. I'll drive back to Rhinebeck really quick. The train station's at Rhinecliff. It's like 10 minutes away, not even 15. So I'll drive back. I'll park at this bank that I know I can park at, and I'll catch like an Uber or a Lyft. And so I hustle back there, park the car. I'm trying to get an Uber and Lyft on the way. And it's upstate New York. There's fucking Hudson. There's no Uber or Lyft is coming like on demand to get me to where I need to go in time. And that dawns on me pretty quickly. So I'm like, fuck, I gotta run to this train station. So I'm like, all right, let me pull out my app. Mind you, I've been listening to like a shitload of David Goggins this past week. So I'm like jacked. I'd already biked 30 miles in the morning. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to do this shit. So I looked it up. It was like 1.8 miles away. And I had like, I think it was like 19 minutes or 20 minutes. So I was like, if I can do, this is reasonable. Oh, and I had my backpack, which was like 30 pounds of shit in there, clothing and everything else, like tarot. This is a lot of shit in there. So it's like if I can run slash walk slash jog, you know, a mile every 10 minutes, which seemed like pretty reasonable, right? I can do this. Or I think it may have been 17 minutes. So it was like 8 or 9 minutes. I was like, I can do this. So I start running and like Rhinebeck, for anyone who knows, it's like a ritzy, bougie, like I look like this is not what you see. All right. You don't see someone running on the side of the road, like decked out with a backpack. So like halfway through, or like, no, I shouldn't even, like a third of the way through, I'm like, okay, there's I gotta start trying to hitchhike. It's only like a mile, a little over. I'm gonna start trying to hitchhike. Of course, no one is stopping to pick me up. I mean, I looked normal. I didn't look like a crazy person, but I think I looked so normal, like a normal person. They're like, this person is clearly a serial. Like, this person's gonna kill me if I let him in my car. So I'm like, fuck. I start running again. I'm running. I have to stop because I got this backpack. And I'm like, holy shit, I'm going to miss this train. But you know what? My imagination creates reality. I got this shit. David Goggins going to put in all this effort. So I'm like, I think at this point, I'm like zero point 0.8 miles away. And it's clear there's like 8 minutes. I'm like, I'm not physically capable of getting there. I'm pretty sure. Like I've been gogginsing. I've been pushing through shit and like this backpack and like, it's just been a lot. So I was like, all right, fuck it. I accept it. It's all good in the hood. Whatever happens, meant to be. So I turn around and I put my thumb out one more time. And sure enough, a black pickup truck stops. Nice pickup truck. I think it was a Tundra. Could have been a Ford F-150. Who knows? Guy rolls down the window kind of tentatively. And he's like, where are you going? I'm like, the train station. And he knows where it is, like right up the road. He's like, all right, get in. So I was like, dude, and I'm like a loon at this point. I'm like, do you have no idea? Like, cause I'd literally like been imagining getting there and all this stuff. And I'm gogginsing, I'm goddarding and like effort and imagination. And I'm like shitting. I'm not like saying all this stuff around him, like verbally diarrheaing. And I'm just like, dude, thank you so much. Blah, blah, blah. He's like, yeah, no problem. I'm like, yeah, these city people are with their cars are parking up. So also a funny aside to this story. Now, I don't know if it was filled up, but there apparently is a long-term parking lot that I didn't know about that if I could have just driven right there, chances are I probably would have gotten a spot, but I don't know. Everything was so packed, it kind of seemed like that was probably full too. So I will never know. But this is a lesson in here. Maybe if I just knew a little bit more information, I could have saved myself a lot of trouble. However, I'm glad I didn't because the guy got me there with 2 minutes to spare, got on the train. Shit was amazing. Got to this dinner. Dinner was amazing. It was this well-being in the modern age. Like everyone who was on the panels was there, and it was just like my friend Sean and Cass and Colin and I met his wife Sarah, who's incredible, and Michael Phillip and Jen and Anna. It was awesome. It was a really good time, and I'm glad I went. So afterwards, I went back to Sean and Cass's. Where do you think I'm doing? DMT. Come on, fuck. Yeah. So I after I did this rapé, right? So let me put a button in that train story. It is Goddard and Goggins. Yes, your imagination creates reality, but it is so much fun to transcend material and physical and mental limitations with like effort and discipline. It's fun. It's super fun. So yeah, Goddard will do all the work if you wanted to. Your imagination will, but the Goggins stuff in this world is very fun. I highly recommend it. So anyway, DMT. All right. So Sarah, Colin's wife, has been putting together this like universal playlist where everyone adds a few songs they like. I only added 3. I should have added like 10. She said 5 to 10 I could add, and I only added 3. But anyway, we were going through songs, and I think Higher Love, we were talking about Higher Love. I was talking about how I met Steve Winwood at my college graduation. I shook his hand. He gave a commencement speech. And I didn't even really know who he was back then. I was like, whatever, I'm dumb. And basically, Higher Love, if you don't know, is one of the most incredible songs ever written. It literally never gets old, and it feels, even though it's kind of like an 80s, 90s song, it timeless. It's incredible, and the lyrics are amazing, and just everything about it. So anyway, we put Higher Love. We're putting on, all these playlist stuff. So anyway, did the rapé. Built up the courage to do that. It's going to hurt too. Like I was watching Sean do it. I was like, this shit is like, it's definitely painful, but I did that. Got my crown chakra enema. Then it occurred to me, I looked at Jen, I was like, Changa, it's time. I think she said it's time. I just said Changa. And then it started. So I took 3 big ass hits, Cass facilitated, and I, on the second one, I started seeing all these fractals. And then I closed my eyes and just was in for the ride of my fucking life. And all I can say is this. I'll give you my direct experience. Mind you, I thought this lasted like 15 seconds. And Sarah was telling me that this was like like 5 or 6 minutes until I was like totally back. And I was like, oh shit. So I don't really know what happened, but I do remember the first thing they started playing Higher Love right when I was blasting off. And I was like, thank you. I think I verbally said that. And then everything started getting shimmery, like really shimmery. Like this happened to me once before when I took a little K, and I've not done a lot of K, but like my arm hairs, like when I would put my arms over them, it would go like shing, shing. It was like metallic-y. So what I think this is now, I'll tell you what I think it is, but here was the direct experience with the Changa, the DMT. So the music started going into that kind of like shimmery, shiny, metallic feeling. It audibly, that's what I heard internally. And then everything was like that. And then it was kind of like this quick vibration. And then I think I got scared for like a teeny second, but then I just like let it go. And then I blasted the fuck off. And really all I can remember is I was like in a tunnel, like a vertical tunnel going upwards, maybe a slight diagonal, like upwards. And there was this column of light, and it was black and white and purple and pulsating, and I was riding it. And I had the wherewithal to ask consciously, because I felt other presences, but I knew it was me. And I said, are all my dreams really coming true? And I just got the most resounding yes from all around me, above me, below me. It was the most crazy thing I ever felt. And then these lights started pulsating. I remember I must have been coming down at this point, because I remember asking like, how long does this, and I think I said it like, how long does this last? And then I heard Cass say like, not that much long if you're asking that, probably on the way down. Then it was like a nightclub. I remember saying that. It was just like these pulsating purple and black lights. I don't even know how to describe it, but if you want a visual depiction, there's this frog. It's like I think a Costa Rican frog, and it might be a poison dart frog or dart frog, but it's purple and black. Go look at that color scheme and you'll know what I saw. All right, it cut off there. So yeah, I was talking about the Costa Rican dart frog. Go check it out. It looked like that. So here's what I think. I mean, not what I think. This is my direct experience of what happened. Is you lose your body. You easily lose your body. You go to other dimensions where you don't need a body. And that's why some people can do this stuff. And mind you, I've only done it once, but a lot of people can do this and have completely different experiences, because it's you and you're going to an infinite variety of versions of reality. And so this one was that shimmering sound. This is why I think when I took K, I heard it as well. That's the sound I hear when I'm leaving my body. Some people describe it as like this high pitched sound or a vibration, but to me, it always starts with this like shing, 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 and it just builds. And then I popped out. So that was me leaving my body. And I'm in this other dimension of consciousness. And essentially, I'm just riding this pillar of light to glory is the only way I could describe it. And I've been feeling very good in general, as you can tell from this podcast and my tweets and everything else. But I mean, this was another level. Since then, I've just noticed that it's been a few days and I just feel fucking great and balanced and clear. And I know the rapé, the tobacco cleansing, crown chakra enema has a lot to do with the experience I had. But man, it was great. I'm looking forward to doing it again. It's cool. Don't get too caught up in anything, but like, wow, so awesome. And I just so much love to Sean and Cass and Jen and Colin and Michael and Sarah. It's just, wow. Well, it couldn't have been in better company. And we were doing tarot stuff I did like 4 Celtic crosses after that for them. And they're like, are you tired? I'm like, no, I feel fucking great. So that was amazing. Yeah, good shit. So I want to talk a little bit about Whitma. A few things related to Whitma. First of all, it was just thank you to everyone who came out and, came up to me. You know who you are. And just I spoke to a lot of you individually for a long time about a lot of different things. And thank you for allowing me to talk directly to your unconscious and kind of circumvent your conscious mind at times and just cut through the fears, doubts, and worries and, say like, it's all good. And you're very cool about that, all of you. And it just, it was such a good vibe. And having started this with Anna and Sa and Kara years ago, and subsequently it's just Jen and Anna doing it now, to see the evolution and what has come from it, from something I helped start. Oh man, it feels good. It's like the feeling of the high priestess where you can kind of just like sit back and let shit happen. Like I didn't actively put on this event, but it was all my friends and it was so fucking cool and they did such a good job. And it showed to me the importance of congregating. And I'll talk about how that is materialized for me, but I want to talk about a couple of things that happened at Whitma specifically. Mitch Horowitz, right? Mitch Horowitz, has been pivotal in my discovery of Neville Goddard. When I was recording my podcast with Mitch and the Lower East Side, my son Gabriel was born. And Gabriel is a little wrathful and peaceful deity here who is like the portal opener. Man, just shit has gotten weird since I've got tuned into Mitch. Let's put it like this. And he's just smart and he just knows shit, and he fucking knows shit because he puts in the fucking time, his direct experiences, and uses his life as the laboratory. So there was a question about play on this panel that Jen was leading, and Mitch was asked the question like, how do you incorporate play, or how does it relate to the imagination? And Mitch took a beat. He always takes a beat. That's why I respect him. As someone who doesn't take a beat typically, like in readings, I'll take beats, but I just go. My Mercury's in Leo on my midheaven. I'm going to fucking talk about shit quickly. But he took a beat and basically he said one of the most fucking amazing things I've ever heard. And it lined up directly with something that had happened to me on the train before. So first, this is what he said. He said, for me, when I think about play, he goes back to when he was 3 or 4 in his imagination. And he's struck by how similar the events that he experiences now, how his life is now, conform to what he imagined and the dreams and the wishes he had when he was a young child, like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I just found that to be incredibly powerful when I think about my life and when other people think about their lives who are really following their passions and their dreams in a substantial way and moving through their fears. I was like, wow, that's powerful. And it reminded me of something I had done on the train the day before. So I had just, fucking jogged in Goggins and Goddard and hitchhiked to the fucking train station. It was just like this revelatory. I was like physically exhausted, but so euphoric because I got to my destination. So I'm on the train like a weirdo, right? Just like already like sweating and like full on dinner attire and like skinny jeans. And like, I just look weird. Luckily, I got a 4-seater with this very nice woman who did not say a word to me, but made very knowing eye contact at several points during the train. She was awesome. And so I'm on the train and I don't have my sunglasses. I usually wear sunglasses when I travel because here's a pro tip. If you're going to quietly cry to yourself tears of joy and harmony and acceptance, I don't think in the society we're totally at the point where other people are comfortable with that. So I like to wear sunglasses if I take some edibles or some magical shit is happening. Just so if I start tearing up, I don't, look like a total weirdo. It's in my own hang up, but still, it's what I do. It's a pro tip, sunglasses. But I didn't have my sunglasses. But here's what I started doing. I don't know why. I was trying to imagine some shit for the days coming or whatever. But what kept intruding was a vision of myself as like a young child. And there was no context. There was no surroundings. It was like a void, a room, a blank space. And what I did know is my feeling. I could feel my feeling of being scared, hurt, afraid, alone. And I was like, oh my God, this is like a really young version of me. And I felt it so real. So I was like, all right, let me go as me now because I'm feeling good. I love my life. I get it. So let me go over and give myself a hug. Let me give this kid a hug. And it really was like an other. It felt like an other. And I'm going and I hug and I'm hugging and I'm like starting to tear up at this point. I'm like, oh God, I got to pull back. So I was doing this in like waves. So I didn't like just start openly weeping in public, but it felt really good. And this really lines up with what Mitch was saying about revisiting your childhood dreams and feeling those, because we do that in this space of openness and there are no boundaries. There's no limitations. There's no people telling us what we can and can't do. And even if externally people are telling us what we can and can't do, internally, we're free to imagine whatever we want. It's our world of make-believe. So That's a really powerful exercise. And I also want to talk about another thing. My friend Scott, my new friend Scott, who Anna met at Cosm, the Gray's house, the other, I guess, last month, again with Sean and Cass, like the magical wonder fairies. Um, you know, this guy starts talking. There's a Q&A after this imagination thing. And the guy goes asked a question about like, how do you help people overcome shyness? And then they're like, elaborate. And he went into this very eloquent recount of his life. And I'm going to have Scott on, by the way. He's amazing. You'll hear why in a second. And he is talking about his own shyness and like how he overcame it. And or he didn't talk about how he overcame it. So like they were about to give the mic back, but I was like, yo, I was in the front row center, literally. I finally understood the meaning of it when I found myself front row center each time. I was like, yo, how did you do it? And I'm just like yelling. And he's like, And then Jen caught on and she's like, oh, like, do you want to come up? Do you want like, he's like, yeah, he came up and Mitch gave up his seat, of course, because Mitch is the best. And he sits down and starts talking about how he overcame his severe shyness and just kind of all his traumas, or a lot of them. And he spoke about, this is what he said. This shit blew my fucking mind. And when he started talking about the technique, I intuitively closed my eyes. So he said, when things were really noisy and rough around him when he was a kid, he would go into his imagination and find a room, a quiet room, and go into the room. And in the room, there would be a closet. And then he would walk into the closet. And in the closet would be a chalkboard. And this chalkboard, below it were all of these bones, like huge bones, a huge pile of bones, like skeleton bones. And he would write on the chalkboards with the bones all of his fears and worries and insecurities until the bones were ground to dust. And I was like, holy shit. Listen, I've heard a lot of stuff. I've heard a lot of techniques, and I was like, that's like the David Goggins of imagining is what it is. That is some real deal tantric left hand fucking Kali. That's psychic suicide of the highest order. Like, I like the psychic suicide where Kali comes up and is like, pow, you're done. That's like psychic suicide. Like, wow, we're going to ground your former self, your limited version of who you are, to dust. Step by fucking step. Holy shit. So Scott was incredible. Yeah, I mean, it was just nuts. So what I learned about Whitma more than anything, and from Whitma, I should say, is the power of congregating in person. And I realized that immediately. I've known it. I know whenever I do it with people, it feels great and it's wonderful. And this was no exception. And that's what we're going to be doing. So I know I have some spaces in Brooklyn available. I'm sure there's some in the city. And I'm going to, for people who are in New York, Brooklyn, we're going to start there just because I'm close to there. If you are interested in attending a live event, all I'll need to do is cover the costs of the space. So I will have hard costs. It's not going to be a lot because my friends have a lot of these places. That's it. I'm not doing this to make money. Listen, I'm happy to make money from this if it evolves into that. But I just want to start getting together with people and talking about this stuff because there's something very powerful that happens when we do that. So we're going to be doing that. If you're interested, there will be a sign-up form or a survey or something coming from me this week. Make sure you're on the email list if you want to get that. I'll put it out on social media too. I'm not trying to make you do something and join the email list. It's good. I'm sending out the weekly tarot things. I'm kind of consolidating everything on there. But if you're in New York and want to attend one of these things, I want to start collecting the list now. So I know when I go to my friends who have the spaces, I can be like, hey, yeah, I already have 100 people who said that they're totally fucking down for this. And then I know if 100 people sign up, I probably 80 will actually make it because who the fuck commits to things these days, but do it because it's fun. Also, if anyone has a space like that, doesn't have to be big, in LA when I'm there from the 7th to the 11th, let me know. We could organize something pretty quickly. I'm starting with New York and LA because I know for a fact those are my biggest areas of interest, like I see it in the analytics. But if you are somewhere else, and want to do something like this and want me to come or for us to do an event, like let's fucking do it. Like this shit is what it's about for me. And this is a huge wake up call and reaffirmation of what's going on. And I also get inspired when I go to other places and meet other people, not just for the podcast, but creatively for music and stuff like that. So I'm soaking that shit up, and that's going to be happening. So there will be some formal structure of how you express your interest. For now, if you just want to send me an email or a message on Instagram saying, hey, like, that sounds cool, I'm up for that, do it. So that's it. That's a long precursor to what is likely to be a longer Q&A episode. Should I just make this not the Q&A episode and then do the Q&A episode after this? I'll put them out like the same day, most likely. I just have this reading with Jessica coming up, and I'm looking at these questions and I'm like, there's no way I'm getting through these 11 questions. And I started recording this at 11:11. So I think I'll just wrap it here, and we'll put a button in this one, and I will do the Q&A, and it'll probably be out later the same day that you're hearing this, just because there's so many here and it's kind of like a separate thing. So this is more DMT Whitmer recap, with those techniques that Mitch and Scott gave. Those fucking man. Do that childhood thing. Go back to yourself, man. It's just like, remember your dreams. Remember who you really are. That doesn't even have to be as hoity-toity. Like I like to make it be like God. I mean, it is pretty fucking awesome. But it could be just like, remember who you were when you were a kid, because you were probably closer to realizing you were God then, because like no one told you weren't. You're like, oh, I'm everything fucking great. Amazing. I see my kid who's 4 months old. I see Eli's 3.5. They gotta get this shit. We're the one restricting it, and we'll see how much longer we even really need to do that. And it's fun. It's all a game. Don't make it so complicated. It's not as high stakes as it seems. Trust me on that. You can make it if you want it to be. Oh, and reality transurfing. I don't know if I mentioned this before it cut off, so I could have said something. I probably did, but there will be a whole episode on that. I'm about halfway through all of the material that I found. It's good. It's good. Listen, I think imagination and consciousness precedes everything, including reality transurfing, but dude has honed in on some very real truths that have my direct experience validates quite it lines up a lot. So stay tuned for that. I'll go into it a little bit on the Q&A episode, but for now, we're going to call this a wrap. Probably going to have one of those 2 podcasts in one day type of thing. So look forward to that. DMT, a fan. Rape, a fan. All my friends, fans. Music, fans. Trains, fan. Exercising, a fan. Realizing everything is meditation, I'm a fan of that. Have you realized you're Moana yet? Have you realized you're God yet? Have you realized everywhere is your home yet? Let me know when you do, because it's fucking awesome. That's it for this episode. I'll see you in a few hours, I bet. Okay. Happy imagining.